Scrappy people, Traci Reed here today, coming at you with a layout in my Life Crafted album. It is for TRD Scraplift Sunday. Today we are scraplifting Melinda, and you'll see the layout of Melinda's that I'm scraplifting in just a second, but it has a giant butterfly cut file on it, so I'm going to be using my Wildflower butterfly cut files to duplicate her layout. So the first thing I did was I set up my canvas size to be Life Crafted album size, which is 8.25 by 10, so that I could appropriately size this butterfly cutout for the page. So I'm just sort of rotating it to mimic the size and orientation of the one on Melinda's layout. And then once I have that decided, then I'm going to change my canvas size back to 12 by 12 so that I can start aligning the pieces of this cut file on my silhouette mat virtually so that I can maximize space, do one cut. What I did was I right-clicked on the layout. Well, first I duplicated the butterfly, then I right-clicked on the butterfly and hit release compound path, and what that did was it released the paths of all of the inside pieces of the butterfly, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the butterfly as one whole piece, and then I'm going to cut out 3 different colors for the butterfly. So I separated out the 3 different colors, or the pieces that I want to be 3 different colors, and I've arranged them off of the canvas so that I can keep them organized. And now I am adjusting the grid spacing so I can see exactly what size papers I need for this layout. So I'm actually going to start with an 8.5 by 11 paper, and I'm just going to draw a box and put it around the butterfly so that I know I'm going to cut this butterfly out of 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So that is where the edge of that paper is going to end. And now I'm going to just arrange each one of these little pieces that I want cut out as closely as possible so that I can maximize the space used on the mat, and also so that I can easily cut out one size of each paper, or each paper color that I want to use. So I have the top piece is going to be cut out on 3.5 by 4 inch, and then the second piece is going to be 3.5 by 5 inch, and then this bottom piece, I believe it's going to be like 3.5 by 3 inches. And that's why I turn the grid on, so that I can see exactly what size pieces of paper that I need to cut out. An alternative would be to do this on separate sheets and print and cut. So you would print, or you would cut out the butterfly out of white cardstock like I do, and then you would align all of these pieces on one 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and print and cut them, and so fill them with color or patterned paper before you cut them. And then you won't have to worry about aligning multiple pieces of paper on your silhouette mat. But that's just the way I did it because I already have these papers printed out. So you can see the 3 different colors that I have here. And now, voila, everything came out perfectly. It was a little close on the edge because I did cut it super close, pun intended, but this came out perfectly. And it's ready to be backed. So the way that I'm going to do that, I will show you in just a second. But the silhouette did all of the work for me, and I can just like put those pieces in where they go like a puzzle. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do mixed media. And on Melinda's original layout, she sort of has mixed media around just like the edges of her butterfly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this butterfly down. Sorry, they're stuck together. I'm going to put this butterfly down where I want to put it on my layout. And I'm just going to use a pencil and very lightly mark the edges of like the top and side bits of this butterfly so that I know kind of where I want my mixed media to end. This just gives me a little guide. It actually disappears pretty quickly once I start using the mixed media, but it's a place to start, right? So I'm going to use 2 different colors of a dark blue from Catherine Pooler. One is Juniper Mist, the other is Dress Blues. Juniper Mist is sort of a true navy. Dress Blues is more bright blue, and I'm sprinkling it or spraying it with water to make it nice and watery like watercolors. And I'm actually going to use the packaging technique to do this. I find it to be the easiest way to get a lot of color on the page fairly quickly, and I am making sure to mix both of those colors together because I only got really a lot of juniper mist down there on the bottom, and so I'm making sure that I make it work. And I am going to do the really hard part of this, and I'm going to let it dry naturally as much as possible so that I get that beautiful wavy sort of watercolor around the outside edges. I have some Distress Oxide here that I deliberately sprinkled while the paper was wet to get that cool oxide effect, although I will say that I never really get that cool oxide effect. I don't know if I use these wrong or what, but it definitely stayed mostly blue. I'm just testing here to see if I've gone far enough out on the outside edges, and I need to do a little bit more over here because it's not quite enough. All right, so now I'm just going to let it dry, and while it's drying, I'm going to back this cut file. So this is the photo that I'm using today. I thought butterfly plus graduation worked really well together. I decided to back this photo on this denim paper because I wanted there to be some more dark on this layout because obviously the graduation robes are black. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm actually going to just put a whole crap ton of adhesive on a white piece of paper here, and I'm going to stick the butterfly to the white piece of paper, and then I'm going to use all that excess adhesive to stick down as much as possible the pieces of the butterfly that go inside. It's just a little bit of a puzzle piecing process. It's pretty easy once you get the pattern down, just sticking them in the holes that they'll fit in, basically, in color order. And then when I'm done sticking these down, I will just use some liquid glue around the tighter parts of like all of the inside curly cues and things like that to make sure everything is stuck down well. And then I will just cut out the whole thing by hand so it's all one piece when it's done. So there we go. Now it is ready to go down on this blue. Blue might have been a funny choice for this layout, but I've been doing a lot of green and yellow layouts lately because those are the school colors. So I wanted to add in some blue so that I could use the rest of the Wildflower collection to its best advantage. Like I didn't have to worry about everything being green or yellow. Now you can see I really wanted to use this soar cut file, but it was just too large with the composition of this spread. It would have been a great like title for this spread, but it just didn't work, and so I just put it to the side very sadly. I'm going to pop up my photo on Pop Dots so that I can layer underneath it easily, and then also so that it gives a little bit of height to the spread. And then I'm going to start adding my embellishments from the Wildflower collection. So you can see I'm still trying to make it work so badly. I just wanted it so bad, but no, it's definitely not going to work. So I'm going to start embellishing in other ways so that I can move on with my life. I did reprint my photo with a bit deeper of a green in the in that crest right there because it still is not the right color green. I didn't want to change the color of the green, but I did make it a little bit deeper because it was conflicting way too much with the green in the Wildflower collection. So I really wanted to use these shoes, but I end up using something else with the shoes on them, so they're not going to stay there. I felt like they were too big to go in the bottom corner of that layout. So this right now is just a process of trying to make these flowers work, and what I really wanted was to stick with the yellow and white flowers with the blue leaves because I felt like we needed a little bit more of that dark blue on this page. So I have these sort of scattered around the edges and with room down there in that bottom corner to add journaling or a title or whatever. And so I started sticking them down, and it's just not loving it. It's kind of bothering me. It's not, sometimes things just don't come together the way that you're expecting, the way that you're wanting. So I did ride the struggle bus a little bit with this layout, but I do like the way it comes together in the end. But these flowers were giving me given me all kinds of trouble. So I'm going to take a break, come back, go back to what I'm trying to do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bringing in other stuff instead. Maybe I'll just stare at it blankly and try and figure it out. I decided that those shoes were definitely too big, so we're going to take this and stick it under here, and that'll start helping the composition a little bit. It also still has the shoes, and it has a sentiment that I really appreciate for this specific layout, so it works. And so once I get this down, and it's a place to journal, obviously. Melinda's journaling was directly on her page, which was what I was going to do initially, but I didn't know, like, I wasn't going to incorporate a title anymore the way that there was a title on her page, so that Dare to Be Yourself kind of substituted the title, so it just all kind of worked out that way. I decided that I'm going to have to bring in other colors of flowers, so I decided to go and move this white one up here and incorporate that Oh Happy Day, which of course now makes me want to put this underneath the butterfly instead of on top, which rips the top half of the butterfly. Not a big deal because I'm going to put that word strip back down. There we go. And then I'm going to start incorporating different flowers into this page. Maybe, or I'm going to decide to go with the blue from the shoes to incorporate a little bit more of that blue specifically in here, since the blues that I did for the mixed media in the background are a little bit different of a shade. Then I'm going to have some of the just plain leaves layered in as well. It's still not coming together the way that I'm expecting, and I screw up the hole punch. Okay, so especially on a layout like this, you would think it was the end of the world, but one of the things that I've learned is that I just have to recover. And now, wait a minute, watch this. This cat scared himself and flew across the desk and knocked everything off my desk. You can see my lovely frustrated hands there. I had to go and fix everything. There is a reel on my face, or on my Instagram page that you can scroll to with sound. The sigh that I emit after that, after the clatter and the crazy, is just hilarious. Anyway, I decided that the flowers are just not cutting it, and what I need to do is incorporate some hearts into this page. And also I needed some more of that green, because the green was conflicting so much with the green in the picture that I felt like I needed to bring over some more of it onto the outside edge of this page so that it didn't feel like they were fighting with each other. So I brought in that green heart, and that starts to solve the problem a bit. And I'm going to add in a yellow heart as well, because there just wasn't quite enough of the butterfly color scheme going on this page for me to make it feel like it was incorporated and not like its own separate piece of this layout. I don't know how to explain that, but sometimes things, when they don't mesh quite right, it feels like they're their own thing. Anyway, back to what I was saying about the holes. What I did was I backed the whole thing with white cardstock and then re-punched the holes, because you can see if you look at the holes, they were messed up. Obviously the messed up holes are still there, but they're going to be covered up by the rings in the binder and you won't even notice them, so it's okay. The last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some white sequins just for a bit of bling. I didn't want there to be more color on this page, but I did want there to be more texture, so I added in white sequins on the white pieces of the page, and then I called it good. This layout was whoo doggy, but if you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There's a link to the Scraplift challenge in the description box below where you can see more examples. All right, thank you.